So all of algebra can be hard to teach since it is problem solving. So like all of math, we are problem solving. And so there's not going to be one specific rule necessarily that'll apply to all types of problems. You have to start looking for patterns and following these patterns in math rules, essentially. So rearranging formulas, I think, is a really good test of how comfortable you are with math and inverse operations, because that's all that you can really use in order to rearrange a formula or solve for a specific part or specific variable in that formula. So let's start with looking at solving for R. So right here I wrote think of reverse PEMDAS because that is what we're doing. We're doing SAD MEP because we are solving for a variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually write my variable that I'm looking for in this pink so we can remember what it is we want on a side completely by itself. I'm going to draw a line because this is still an equation. There's still an equal sign. We have to maintain equality. So whatever I do to this side, I have to also do to this side. What I'm also going to do is draw a multiplication sign everywhere where I know multiplication is happening. So I know 4/3 pi r cubed, that the 4/3 is attached to the pi with multiplication, which is attached to our r cubed with multiplication. This is a cubed sign, it's an exponent, so there's no symbol between them because that is its own operation. So what I'm going to do is get rid of this 4/3 and this pi because we want the term, the r term, on a side totally by itself. So first I'm going to divide by 4/3. When I divide by 4/3, it is the same thing as multiplying by 3/4. So on this side, I'm going to get 3/4v equals pi times r cubed. This r cubed still has something else on the side with it, so we want to fix that before I can look at the cubed. So I'm going to also divide by pi. I could write this as 3/4 v in parentheses divided by pi, but for me, the easier way to look at it is just 3v over 4 pi. And if we're not comfortable enough with fractions and division, then we just write it like this because this is completely correct. Like I said, this is just a way that's easier for me to look at it. Now I have this almost completely simplified, but I'm at the end of my SAD MEP. We did multiplication and division. There wasn't any addition or subtraction to do. We did multiplication and division. Now we're on our exponent. Now we can get rid of that cubed. We can get rid of a cubed symbol by taking the cube root. So it looks like a square root sign, except for there's this little 3 right there. When I take the cube root, that cube goes away. On this side, it's just going to stay under our cube root sign because nothing else can be done. And now I have solved for R. This one's going to be a little bit easier because this one will follow our SAD MEP a little bit more strict, and it doesn't have any exponents or parentheses. So we're really only dealing with subtraction, addition, and then multiplication and division. So the first thing I am going to do is draw my line. And I'm going to identify where I see multiplication, because remember that if there is nothing between the letters or a coefficient in a letter, a variable, then I know that there is an invisible multiplication sign. So before I can do multiplication or division, I'm looking for addition and subtraction. We're solving for y. So the idea of this problem is to get this y, I want to use something that I haven't used, by itself. So right now, y is on a side with ax, and those are being combined with addition. So that is the first thing I can get rid of. So I'm going to do subtract ax from both sides. When I subtract ax from both sides, I'm left with by equals c minus ax. Now that there is no more addition and subtraction on my side with the y, now I can move on to multiplication and division. So my y is attached to my b with multiplication, so I need to divide to get rid of the b. If I divide that side by b, I need to also divide this side by b. And now I have solved for y. And unfortunately, this is just a challenging topic. So rearranging formulas is not super easy, and it's really important to be comfortable solving equations, multi-step equations and inequalities for one variable, because once you are comfortable with one variable, it will become easier to work with more variables and an equation that has only variables in it and no numbers at all.